Okay. So, what makes you to shift your career to Salesforce?
So here to my stream, I don't have much opportunities. So since I'm from a non-IT background, I thought Salesforce would be a good fit for me. After enough research, I thought starting with an admin, which has limited admin, which is quite it is a good start for a non-IT background person to easily understand the system, and then slowly he can grow as the as the person learns the work.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me know what are workflow in Salesforce.
So workflows are basically these are an automation. It is an automation tool which is used to automate the business process. So with workflow, it is a simple tool with which you can send an outbound message, email alert, update the related records.
So, using the workflow, we cannot update the related records. We have the four tasks, that is field update task. We can create the task. We can send the outbound SMS and the email alert.
Email alerts.
Okay.
Okay.
Related records are not updated by the workflow. They are updated by the process builder and the flows.
Okay.
Okay.
We can create a task. Yeah.
Yeah, we can create the task and we can update the field. So let me know what are the three different criteria we have when we create the workflow. Whenever we create the workflow rule, so we have
Okay.
the conditions on which condition we want to fire the workflow.
Oh, can you say the answer?
So yeah, so there are three conditions. The first one is the created, the second is the created and every time it's edited, and the third is the created and every time it's edited to subsequently meet the criteria. So here the first one is the criteria. Whenever I just want to fire my automation every time the record is created, not every time, okay, only once whenever the record is created. Now the next is created and every time edited. So here whenever my record is edited and if it meets the criteria, then it will going to fire my automation or fire my workflow rule. Now the next third is the created and every time edited to subsequently meet the criteria. So here if I edit the record and previously it does not match the criteria, but this time it matched the criteria, then only it will going to fire. But if I edit the record and previously also it matched the criteria and I have just updated another field, so this time it will not going to fire the record or automation. So let me explain this video an example. Let's suppose I have selected the second criteria, that is created and every time edited, and I want to send an email whenever my particular field is updated. Like if a checkbox is set true, then every time my email to be sent. So if I select the second criteria in this condition, so whenever if I edit my record, so and the checkbox is true and I have updated another field, so this time also if I save the record, it will going to fire or it will going to send the email. So but in the so every time whenever if I update my record, it will every time will going to send the email to the user. So now if I select the third criteria, so in this case what will happen, it if I edit my record and the checkbox is true and I updated any other field or just do not make any change and just save the record, so this time it will not going to send my email because the criteria previously matched the condition, so it will not going to fire. But if I edit the record and the checkbox is set as false and this time I have marked it as true, then this time it will going to fire the as or send the email to the user. So normally we go with the third option only because the second option is it will going to fire many times in a day. If I edit the record and do not change the condition also, it will going to fire. So we very less time or mostly we will going with the third option. So now here also comes another point between differencing between both, that is on which option we can create the time-based workflow rules. So time-based workflow rules are also have conditions. On all 3 points we cannot create the time-based workflow rules.
Okay. Only when the account is active, record is active.
Only when the record is created, the first
Created.
option, okay, and the third option whenever the record is created and subsequently edited.
Edited. Okay.
Okay, not the second option whenever created or every time edited. because in such case what will happen, if I suppose if I edit my record now, okay, so it will going to add my time based action in the queue, right?
Yeah.
And after some time, like after 5 minutes also, if I edit the record, then also it will going to fire my workflow action, then again it will add the time based action in workflow queue, right? So like this it will going to add many workflow time based workflow action in my queue, which is not the correct way to execute my actions, right? So only on the first and the second or third option will allow me to create the time based workflow.
Okay.
Did you got my point?
Yes.
Yeah, for more clarity, you can try to just create a simple workflow rule, and then you will see that we have the three option on which option we want to create a workflow rule. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many master data relationship fields can be created in an object?
Two master detail relationships can be created per object.
Yes, in an object.
In an object. Oh, two.
Okay. So how many roll-up summaries fields can be created in an object?
I think 40.
Okay. Explain me many-to-many relationship in Salesforce with any scenario.
Many to many relationship. It is an object which for maintaining a many to many relationship, an object can have two master related relationships. So, okay, how to start with?
Okay, you
Many
can
to
start it like this. In Salesforce, we do not have direct option to create many-to-many relationship. So to achieve this, we will going to use the junction object in this, or in this, the junction object comes in scenario, no, comes in picture. So on junction scenario, so the objects in which we want to create the many-to-many relationship, we will going to create the relation with this junction object, the master detail relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, like any example in which you have created this?
You can say the product and the price books. So
Yes.
one product,
One product can have many price books,
many price books.
and vice versa, like many price book can have the same product.
Same product.
So in this case, the standard junction object is there, right? Price book
Yeah.
entry, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So in how many ways we can share a report?
We can share a record with the value. We can share with the OID, role hierarchy, sharing rules, manual sharing.
Okay. So let me know the things that can be customized on page.
Customized on for page layout, you mean to say?
Yes, on a page layout, what are the things which we can customize?
We can customize the fields, we can customize the buttons, we can customize the custom links, related lists.
Okay. So I have a one object like salary and the one object like employee. Okay. I want to connect both the objects. So which relationship I will take to connect them?
Salary and the
Employee.
you can connect with the lookup, right?
Okay. If I connect
Yeah.
with them with a lookup,
Mm-hmm.
and in future, uh, uh, a employee just left the company, and I do not need or I do not have the requirement of this employee. Okay,
Okay.
in my database. So if I just go with deletion of this employee, then differently, I have to again go with this its salary slip also to delete them different separately.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
is there
it can
any?
be master detail.
So yeah, it should be a master detail
Master
only,
detail.
because
Okay.
yeah, if this employee exists, then only we have the use of or we need the salary slip. If the
Okay.
employee is not there, then there is no need of the salary slip, right?
Yeah. Got
So
it.
you can think in like this way: if is there is a full dependency on child on of child on parent or not? Okay. So here the
Yeah.
salary slip only have the existence if the employee is there.
Yes.
So do you know what are sandbox in Salesforce?
Yeah. Sandbox is an environment, production environment. It is same like a production environment where the developers and the testers test the product. and
Okay.
deploy 10 later.
Yeah, so it is for the testing. It is same as of the production, but this is a testing environment. So whatever the Apex coding or whatever the functionality we know to test or we create, we go with the sandbox first.
Yeah.
So what is the multi-tenant architecture in Salesforce? So the Salesforce is
Multi.
based on the multi-tenant architecture, right? You agree with this?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
what is it?
So since there are multiple organizations which store their data in single database based on multi-tenant architecture, where specific organization will have a restricted amount of usage of database.
Okay.
So they cannot. I mean, every organization cannot have their own data to be stored. So they have specific restrictions to it.
And so for these restrictions, here the governor limits comes in picture that each and every resource has given some limits which in which they can use their resources. So
Okay.
they should not exceed. Do you know custom settings in Salesforce?
Yeah, custom settings. Yeah, custom settings is specific a repeatable data which is stored in specific setting which can be used often for the user by the users.
Okay, any use case where you have used this custom setting?
Maybe the email templates which we'll be using often based on the priority of the case. When we want to when I have to send the email alerts, we'll be using this custom settings.
Okay, so here custom settings are similar like of the custom object. In custom object
Okay.
also we store the values or we store the records. And the custom setting also we have the option to create the number of fields and accordingly we save our values. Okay.
Okay.
And in both the cases we have the unlimited access to. So here the main difference comes that the custom objects are have more resources to use, like in terms of validation rules, formula fields, and the declarative processes. But in the custom setting we have the limited resource, like there the text field will only be of 255 characters, no rich text, no text area fields will be there. Okay, we cannot create any processes on the custom setting. We can use them in our Apex code or any Apex triggers.
Okay.
Let's suppose I have created my trigger. Okay, and I have also deployed it in the production by some scenario or by some use cases. My trigger is not working properly. So at the same time, I want to turn off my Apex trigger. So we do not have the direct option to edit the record there in production. So in such case, what we will do, we will add that value in the custom setting
Okay.
to make it active or inactive. So have you seen a mass transfer or mass sharing button on the records?
I don't remember.
What
I
is the
didn't see.
so my question is what is the difference between the transferring the record using mass transfer and sharing the record using sharing rule or manual sharing? So what we can do using that mass button and what we can do using sharing rule and manual sharing. So what
Sharing
is difference between?
manual with manual sharing, we can share the record. Is that
Okay,
so?
so while we transferring the record or by using the mass transfer, the record ownership of the record also gets changed. Okay, here the
Okay.
ownership also get changed, but whenever we share the record, the ownership will not be changed. Only we are giving permissions to other users to see the record.
Okay.
Okay, so in terms
Okay.
of ownership, one will
Yeah. Yeah.
get the ownership and one will not get the ownership, only get the access to see the record.
Okay.
So what is the condition in which we can see the manual sharing button?
I don't know.
So to get the manual sharing button, the OWD for that particular object should be private or public
Right.
read only.
Okay. Okay.
The
Oh, that's what
restricted,
you meant.
yeah, yes, the
Got it.
restricted one, yes.
Yeah. Whenever the OW is private, then only we can choose the role hierarchy, or for
Yes.
sharing we override that OWD with the permission with the setting manual sharing
Yes.
or so. Okay.
Field dependencies in Salesforce.
Yeah, yeah. So field dependency is it's a drop-down filter where the dependent field is based on the selected field. Depending upon one field, another field result is dependent.
Any scenario or any use case?
You can say when you're selecting a state and you have given the city for that specific state. So when
Okay,
you're selecting the state, automatically that respective city will be displayed.
got it. Okay, so we have a time-based workflow rule. Okay,
Okay.
and there is an action schedule to be executed.
Mm-hmm.
That is already a action is in the workflow queue, which need to
Oh,
be sent. Okay, so now if I deactivate my workflow rule, will the schedule action will be removed from the queue or not?
yeah, you can pause a time-based workflow rule.
So it will be sent or not, or it will be scheduled or not. It is or there, or it will be removed from there.
Oh no, I think the once you have set the time trigger flow, I think it runs.
Yeah, so the action will be active in the queue until and
Yeah,
unless we manually remove it from there.
remove it.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Okay.
So we have time-based workflow and there is an action schedule to be executed. Can we delete that workflow? Can we
Before
delete
before it was active, we can delete it.
the workflow rule? We have the time-based workflow, okay?
Okay. Okay.
And for this time-based workflow rule, already a action is scheduled or already a task is pending in the workflow queue, okay?
Okay.
So even if the action is scheduled in the workflow queue, can I
Mhm.
delete the workflow, this time-based workflow because of which this action is scheduled?
I think you cannot, once it is active, you cannot delete it.
Okay, yes. If a workflow has already pending time actions, then we cannot delete the workflow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any limitations you know about the time-based workflow rules?
But it cannot be set in minutes and seconds.
Okay.
Uh, as we discussed now, it cannot be deleted. When it is active, it cannot be removed.
Okay. Formula fields that include related object merge fields cannot be included.
Sorry, formula fields cannot be included. What
Yeah.
is one more you said?
Formula fields of the that include the related object merge fields.
Okay. Okay. We cannot add or remove a trigger if the workflow is active. Something I read. Yeah.
We
When
cannot
formula
delete our workflow if the pending actions are there in the workflow queue.
workflow queue.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the formula fields are referencing their parent or the merge fields, then we cannot use them.
Use them. Okay.
Yes, and we cannot use the date or date time fields containing
Okay.
today or now.
Okay.
So is it possible to restrict the access to data using sharing rules?
Is it possible to restrict the data using sharing rules?
Yes.
Yes.
How? So,
Yeah.
okay, first let me know the priority of the sharing. What are the different ways in which we can share the record? And let me know the priority. First, what we need to set, then the second option, what we get, then the third option.
Okay. Firstly, we have the OWD roles, organization-wide defaults, which is like a
Okay,
baseline. So it
okay,
is given to all the profiles, it is given to all the users along with the profile. So if the OWD is set to private, then we use the next we can use role hierarchies. Role hierarchies are nothing but they were using the role hierarchies. The higher hierarchy users can see the lower hierarchies records.
Okay, so if my OWD is already set as public read and write,
Okay.
so is there any use of the sharing rule or manual sharing or role hierarchy?
No, it's if it is public read or write, they can already they're having the enough access, so there's no need to.
So so then using the sharing rules, can I restrict the access?
Sharing rules are only used to give the permission, share the record, right? If the
By
OWD is
using,
only private, only
yeah.
if it is private only, then we can have this. Or if the OWD is read but not write, then we give the sharing rules to share that particular record.
So in clear words, then all the sharing rules, manual sharing comes in picture whenever my baseline is more restricted. So
Yeah,
using sharing rules, we can only enhance the permission. We cannot restrict it. So my question is this only: is it is possible to restrict the access using sharing rules? So no, we can
is it
only
possible?
enhance. Like in profiles and permission sets, permission sets are only used to enhance the permission, not to restrict the permission.
Yeah, it
And
extends the permissions. Yeah,
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 where
yeah.
the profile act as a baseline.
Baseline. Yeah. Okay.
So here also OWD is baseline, and then
Baseline.
we have the different option to enhance or extend the access.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. OWD defaults can be overridden by the sharing rules,
Yes.
so they can extend it. Yes, but only when we have the profiles visibility. Only then we can access, right? Even the
Yes.
OWD
If
is
the
they
if on profile there is no access for the object, then there is no use of the.
no use of the sharing rules also.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you know grant access hierarchies?
I think
Hierarchy.
it is an option which is checked. Is it
For
that?
the standard user, it is always checked or it is always marked as true. For the custom object, we have the option to edit it.
Edit it. Okay.
So when the grant access is checked for the custom object, so even if the record is private and the user in the higher role than the owner of the record will still get the access to the records.
Okay.
Okay, what is login history?
Login history, like what the overall, like what the user has done. Everything will can be whatever changes the user has done that can be seen in the login history.
Yes, correct. So we can get the records of last 6 months of login history. Okay, maximum of 20,000, I think.
20,000. Okay.
So what is the function we used to check whether the record is newly created or not?
Should we use newly created or not?
Mm.
We see that modified date, created date.
But okay, what will you do with the modified date or created? If I want to check in my validation rule, so how I
Okay.
can check whether the record is newly created or not, or it is updated?
That you can see in the object manager, right? No.
So there is a function is new, using which you can
Okay. Yeah.
check
I took
is new.
is
Is
new.
yes.
Yeah.
Any custom object, I have set the OWD to private. Okay.
Okay.
Now I want to give the edit permission to the specific users only. So how I can do this?
So OW you gave private, but you want for specific users to view access.
Edit permission.
You will give that in the profile itself. You can give the permission to that particular user, right?
No. If I directly give to the profile, then all the users will get the access.
For that particular user, you want to give the edit access. Then
Yes.
you will give the manual sharing.
Yes, and using sharing rule also we can give the edit permission.
Edit permission sharing rules. Okay.
So in such case, we will go with the sharing rules.
Sharing rules. Okay.
Okay, how we can make the field required in the UI level and not required in the API or the code level?
Page layout.
Okay, page layout. Correct.
Validation rule.
Okay, only the page layout is there from which we
For
want
UI.
for the UI
Yeah,
only. But if you go
UI.
with
Okay.
the Apex, sorry, with the validation, it will affect the Apex code.
Apex. Okay. Yeah.
Do you know public group in Salesforce?
Public group.
It is a group of users. Okay.
With whose records can be seen with to everyone.
No, no, it is a group of users. It is a public group. It is a
Public group.
simple group of users where I have had
Okay.
number of users. Okay. So I just
Okay.
want to know, can a public group be the direct owner of the record? Can we directly assign a public group to a record?
Public. Record will only have individual owners, right?
Yes, owners and the queues.
Queues.
Yeah,
Okay.
queues and the specific but direct users can only have the ownership of record. Public groups cannot be the direct owner.
Got it. So if they say what is the difference between a profile and a role, profile I'll say like profile is a set of permissions and settings which provides the data access to particular user. Every user will have one profile. So that is enough for profile. If I say
Single user can only have one profile. Yes.
one profile. So I told it clearly. It is a set
Yes.
of permissions and settings which gives the data access to particular user.
Yes. And you can
Okay.
also tell the types of settings or the permission like object permissions, field permissions, login IP history, and the IP addresses permissions, page layout permission, record type permission, all what a user can do in Salesforce, everything can be managed from the profile.
Okay. Okay.